Hello, 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 members of the Thursday Lunchtime Christian Businessmen's Connection in Akron, Ohio, the one that's held at Jennings Heating and Cooling. This is John Kersey. Decided to put together a video version of this week's Monday Manna since many people are traveling and going thither and yon for the holidays. So Mike and I thought it might be a good idea just to put this together for you. So I wanted to share the Monday Manna with you via video. So first, a couple of disclaimers, right? The contents here are the property of Christian Businessmen's Connection, not Jennings Heating and Cooling, which holds the Thursday noon CBMC meeting, or me, John Kersey. Actually, the credit belongs to Robert Tamsay, who wrote this week's Monday Manna, which is titled Anger is Not Your Friend. So let's take a look at it. Research shows that anger is getting worse today. In the introductory paragraph, Tamazay talks about how angry people seem to be nowadays, and then I added in some statistics that show that, as you can see on the screen, and also the harms of anger, especially in the workplace, how it damages trusts, harms team collaboration, and how it kind of detracts from the workplace. We all see that. And Tamase points out that heated exchanges between coworkers that disrupt the workday is neither productive nor godly. And he's absolutely right about that. So what's so strange is when you start asking why people get angry, sometimes you hear one answer, then another answer. And then finally you realize after 5 minutes or so, people will even forget why they got angry in the first place, right? And Tamase points out from Luke's writing in the book of Acts, Acts 19:32. The assembly was in confusion. Some were shouting one thing, some another. Most people didn't even know why they were there. We experience that all the time in our society, right? Somebody's angry about something and you ask 3 or 4 questions why, and it boils down that they're not even sure why they're angry in the first place. Somebody else has ginned them up. That's all too common in the world nowadays, and especially in workplaces. Tamazay then talks about the destructive power of anger and gives examples. He talks about no-win emotions, and I'm just going to read from what he wrote, right? Rarely does anything positive result from the expression of negative emotions. Nothing is gained in a contest to determine who can scream the loudest or display the greatest degree of fury and animosity. And then he quotes Psalm 37:8. Refrain from anger and abandon wrath. Do not fret. It can only bring harm. Isn't that true? Then he points out how anger can also lead to impulsive actions. A typical response is to vent that anger and let them know how we feel. And although that might make us feel better, the end result is often resentment, damaged relationships, and problems that remain unsolved. Becomes worse. And then again, sometimes people will even resort to impulsive action. And he quotes 2 verses from the writer of the Proverbs there, Proverbs 12:16 and Proverbs 16:16. I will read the 16:16 one. A wise man fears the Lord and shuns evil, but an angry person is hot-headed and reckless. Again, not something we want to see in the workplace or we want to see as believers in Christ. People think that anger can even be a viable option. It's okay that I get angry, right? And it's not. When we are to control our emotions, good or bad, rather than allow them to control us. And the Apostle James talks about that in James 1:19 and 20. My beloved brothers, understand this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger. For a man's anger does not bring about the righteousness of God. Also, anger puts people into a dangerous position when conflict goes unresolved and we permit angry emotions to simmer. It's only going to make matters worse on down the road. It's much better to work toward a resolution and to relieve stress and put matters to rest rather than to allow anger and frustration to continue to fester, Tamazay writes. And then he quotes from Ephesians 4:26 27, and 31. And I put a little bit of that up on the screen so you can think about that. And again, I kind of summarize that. Don't let the sun go down on your anger, because you shouldn't. So that's the basis of this week's Monday Manna. And then Tamsay always has reflection and discussion questions. So I'm going to pop those up here on the screen, read them to you, and just be quiet for 15, 20 seconds. Let you think about that before I move on to the next one. So first question. Everyone becomes angry on at least one occasion. Do you generally consider yourself to be even-tempered, or a person who is inclined to become angry when provoked? How does anger manifest itself in your life? Second question. Think of a time when you were the target of someone's excessive anger. How did that make you feel? Did the person's angry outburst help to resolve whatever the conflict happened to be? Why or why not? Question 3. What are your thoughts on why there seems to be so much anger, expressed and repressed, in our world today? If it were up to you, what solutions might you suggest? And then fourth, and finally, why is it so difficult to do what the Bible verse admonishes? To be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger. How can patience and prudence serve to diffuse a tense emotional situation? Tamazay always concludes with challenges for the week, and there's 3 there on the screen. Take some time to evaluate how you handle anger, and if you find yourself oftentimes feeling angry, why? What triggers it? And then third, if anger is an issue, how do you seek help? A mentor, an advisor, a close friend, maybe CBMC, our small group. You may discover that other people are struggling with anger also, and you can support each other through prayer and through accountability. Hey, the Bible verses that Mr. Tamsay recommends this week, a lot of them are in Proverbs. So the ones that aren't, Colossians 3, 8 to 10, Psalm 37, 8, and then the rest. We might as well just camp out in the book of Proverbs when we talk about anger, right? Proverbs 14, 17, and 29. Proverbs 15, 18. Proverbs 17, 27. Proverbs 18, 19. Proverbs 19, 19. Proverbs 20, verse 3. And Proverbs 22, verses 24 and 25. And that's the Monday Manna for this week, the week that begins on Monday, June the 29th, and ends with Sunday, July the 5th. Kathy and I hope you have a blessed July 4th holiday. And then, guys, looking forward to seeing you back at CBMC and Jennings on Thursday, July the 9th. God bless.